Alright, this is John Cola with OKRaw.com. I have another exciting episode for you. Today's episode is going to be like no other. I'm actually going to show you guys how you can eat a raw foods diet in Las Vegas for $14 a day for eating mostly organic foods and also meeting all your nutrient requirements except for two. And to learn what those two are, you have to actually watch the video that's coming up real soon. Now you guys are going to get the extended remix cut because I gave the talk, but they're not getting some of the extra footage that you guys are gonna see coming right up. Anyways, we're actually here at Pure Health, and this is an awesome health food store here in Las Vegas. They do a lot of education, and I've actually been given frequent talks here in the back room, but it's open to all, and sharing what I know about raw foods that I've learned over the last 17 years. And in this episode, you guys are gonna learn how to eat raw foods and meet all your nutrient requirements for under $14 a day here in Las Vegas. Now, if you don't live in Las Vegas, you can use some of the principles that I'm teaching you guys here because they'll apply pretty much wherever you live, although it might be a little bit more challenging. But in any case, what we're gonna do next is give you the extended remix cut. But there's no dance music, so don't worry. And anyways, the extended remix cut is gonna show me actually going around to some of the local stores, and that's one of the tips is shop around for the best prices and the best organic foods at the lowest cost. And you guys are gonna see some of the stores I go to and how much some of the produce costs, and it'll share some of the specific produce items with you. So I guess next, let's go to that clip and then we'll go into the talk. Now we're outside Sprouts Farmers Market, and actually this used to be called Sunflower Market, and the best day to come to Sprouts is on a Wednesday because their sale runs from Wednesday to Wednesday. So if you come on one Wednesday, the sale is ending that Wednesday, and then the new sale is starting that Wednesday, so you get the advantage of two sale ads. And when they have things on the ad on sale, then they're definitely the lowest price on organics. So we're gonna go into Sprouts and see what kind of organics they have on sale this week. Now we're in Sprouts and the organic produce section, and they have too many sales to list, so we're just gonna go over just a few of those for you guys right now. So they definitely have the lowest price on apples around, 99 cents a pound. They also have pears, organic bartlett pears, 99 cents a pound. Definitely the best prices anywhere in Vegas. They also got organic grapes here on sale this week, 2 pounds for $5. This week they also have organic avocados on sale for only 99 cents. So you want to look out for little red signs. The red signs are the sale signs, and the green signs are the regular signs. There are organic greens here at Sprouts. Gotta be the cheapest prices around. Some of the things I'm not gonna get, like the green kale and the regular kale, 2 for $3. It's $1.50 a bunch. Moving on down, some of the things I will get today, organic cauliflower is 2 pounds for $3. Gonna get some of that, and then also I'm gonna get some celery, which is also 2 for $3. That's $1.50 for some celery. And then finally, they got organic romaine, 4 for $5. So that's like $1.25 each. That's a good price. I'm gonna pass on that, and then I'm gonna get some organic cilantro for 99 cents. Now we're outside Trader Joe's, and in general, Trader Joe's has actually lower prices than Whole Foods, but not as low as some of the other places, especially when there's some sales. So we're gonna check out Trader Joe's for some organic produce today and see what we find. Inside Trader Joe's, they have some organic produce, and there it is. And you gotta shop around for some of the best deals. Let's see, some of the best deals today are the apples here. It's 2 pounds for $2.49, and we're gonna go ahead and pick up 2 pounds of Galos, $2.49. That's about $1.25 a pound, much less than Whole Foods. Another organic item I'll be picking up here today are the red seedless grapes, $2.69 a pound. It's at least $2 cheaper than Whole Foods. Now we're at another place you can purchase produce actually fresh because you're picking it yourself in many cases here at Gilcrease Orchard here in Las Vegas. Now I encourage you guys to visit local farms. Gilcrease is one of the many farms that I visit in Las Vegas where you're going to get the lowest prices on produce and actually support, you know, local economies here in Las Vegas, and also probably have some of the freshest picked food that you can find in Las Vegas because a lot of it is actually imported, unless of course you're growing it yourself. So anyways, let's go into the fields here at Gilcrease and let's pick some produce today and save some money. Now we're here inside Gilcrease, and there's a lot of things that I could be harvesting. They got arugula over there, they got green tomatoes, they got some zucchini squash, some butternut squash, some radishes, but I'm here actually for, right below me, the cucumbers. So it's the end of the season here, not too abundant here, but these Armenians continuing to flower and create fruit. Here's a nice Armenian cucumber here. I use these for juicing, and these are $1 a pound. Definitely an excellent price. And you know, when you get to pick it yourself, it's definitely the freshest. And you're also supporting the local economy, and also I'm saving money over how much cucumbers would cost in the store. So there's many reasons to support your local farm if you're not going out to them already. Highly encourage you guys to do that. Now we're outside the Vons, and the Vons is pretty much like a Dominic's or a Safeway or maybe even a Pavilions. It's a standard grocery store that does carry some organic, so you can save some money at a place like this. Definitely if you have their club card, savings card, if they have things on special. Even if they don't have things on special, sometimes this place is actually less on some produce items. So let's go inside, show you guys which items I normally get here at Vons. Now we're inside the Vons, and the organic produce section is right in the middle. You can see a big sign, Go Organic, now at lower prices. And here's their organic counter. It's in the middle. Some Vons have smaller organic sections than others, so if the one near you doesn't, you know, check another one. Now some of the prices are actually fairly good and some are not. The apples are like $2.99 a pound. You know, that's a lot. If you buy them by the bag, they're a bit less, but they're still less expensive at the Sprouts Farmers Market. But the reason why I'm here is because of the bananas. The bananas, for the most part, are the lowest price here at 69 cents a pound. And this beats the Trader Joe's price of 29 cents each. For example, this set of 4 bananas weighs about 1.5 pounds. Here would cost $1.05, and at Trader Joe's it costs you about you know, $1.18. So you're gonna save a little bit here. So I'm gonna get some ripish looking bananas here today. Other things that are inexpensive here at Vons are the actual organic grapes. They're just $2.99 a pound, and they got the red, black, and green. You know, it was a little bit cheaper other places, but you know, this is just one-stop shopping. Organic strawberries, not too bad either. The last item I usually get at Vons is this guy right here, just the organic celery. It was on sale this week at Sunflower, but if it isn't in general, Vons has usually the lowest price. This week it's $1.49 here, and it ranges from $1.49 to $1.99. Now we're outside Winco Foods. Winco Foods is like a food for less, like an employee-owned like grocery store that has like really good deals on a lot of stuff. Now they don't necessarily carry too much organic. They might carry organic carrots and organic greens and maybe some organic herbs, but sometimes I'll get hothouse grown produce here, and maybe also avocados. So I'm here today to check out what they got. Now you may notice that I'm actually going around to a lot of different stores to go shopping, and you know, I actually like going around to all the different stores to find the best deals and actually find the best quality produce that I can, so that I can eat the best produce. I mean, back in the olden days, we didn't have stores. We'd have to actually literally go out and forage in the wild for our food. But I'm the modern day forager here at the grocery stores, if you're not growing it yourself. Today I definitely scored a good deal. Check it out. Avocados, lots of them. 28 cents each. Now these are conventional, but avocados is one of those items that's not really sprayed a lot, so I do eat conventional avocados when I could get them for 28 cents. Now we're outside 99 Ranch Market there, and this is where I'm getting the coconuts today. You know, there's other Asian markets and stores here in Las Vegas that sells the coconuts, but I find 99 Ranch usually has a good low price, but more importantly, good quality. I found some of the other stores that sell cases of coconuts have like the off brand, and the quality is not so good. Even if it is like $1 cheaper, I'd be willing to pay $1 extra to get high quality coconuts that taste a lot better and actually aren't spoiled on the inside. So let's go inside and show you how you could save some money on coconuts. These are the young Thai coconuts here. If you buy them by the each, they're $1.49 each. One tip is actually buy in bulk. Check it out, here they are by the case, and by the case they're only $10.99. So that'll definitely save you at least 50 cents a coconut. One of the things you want to do before buying your coconuts is you actually want to open up the case, just like this. Because if you buy a case and there's one bad in there, then you're actually losing money. So you're just gonna check each coconut, and take a look at it and flip it over, make sure it's not wet on the bottom here, and not any signs of pinks or any major cracks, which may be an indicator that the coconut's bad. And now we're here inside the Springs Preserve outside the conference rooms, and this is where the farmers market is every Thursday from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. Definitely encourage you guys to get here early around 10 because they do definitely sell out, especially on the good deals early. So So come sooner rather than later. Another excellent resource to save money on produce is your local farmers market. So I'm here at the Springs Preserve Farmers Market, and today they have all kinds of different produce here. And what I'm going to buy today are some pomegranates. Pomegranates here are actually 2 for $1, so that's 50 cents each. Pomegranates are a wealth of antioxidants and so delicious. Now we're outside my local Costco wholesale here in Las Vegas, and Costco around the nation actually is a really good source for organic produce. They generally carry the organic carrots and the organic spring mix and the organic spinach mix. Sometimes they'll sell organic baby kales, organic broccoli. I have seen organic apples there, organic grapes, organic blueberries and strawberries, and even raspberries before. So you never know what you're going to get. You just got to visit them and kind of see what they have in stock. Another thing I like to visit Costco for is actually the hothouse grown cucumbers and bell peppers. Because they are hothouse grown, they are not often sprayed, and they use IPM or integrative pest management, so that means they tend not to spray unless they have to. So let's head in Costco and see what kind of organic produce they have today. Here at Costco today, they have actually organic baby kale. This is similar to the one I got at the dollar store. This is 1.5 pounds, and this is $4.29 for $2.86 a pound. For organic mixed baby kales. Costco pretty much always has baby spinach organic in these little bins here, and this is 1 pound's worth. Much cheaper than Whole Foods. It's $3.59 here at Whole Foods. It's $4.99, and next door they actually have the organic 1 pound of spring mix here. And over here, this one is actually $3.79. The best deal by far at Costco are the organic Bunny Love carrots. This is a 10-pound bag right here. There go 10 pounds of organic carrots. And the price is $4.79. That's about 48 cents a pound. That's definitely the lowest price you'll find anywhere. And the Bunny Love carrots are really sweet carrots, great for juicing. Now we're at another unexpected place to find some good deals on organic produce. We're at the 99 Only store, which is basically a dollar store. And yes, I'm a dollar store shopper, especially when they have organic produce. Now, not all 99 Only stores have a produce section, and not always will they have organic produce. So let's cross the fingers and see if they got any organics today. Now we're inside the 99 Only store. We're gonna check out the produce. Sometimes they have organics and sometimes they don't, so let's see if we get lucky today. Here's their produce section. The majority of it is actually non-organic, and you just wanna take a quick look around and look at each package and see if it says organic or not. For example, these guys right here, it says Splendito Organic, USDA Organic. So these are little 1 dry pint of cherry tomatoes for only $1. It's definitely a lot cheaper than Whole Foods and even something like Trader Joe's. So we're gonna definitely pick up some of these guys today. Another good deal today here at the dollar store. These guys right here, these are actually called the Sunset Campari, the Tomatoes Lover tomato. These guys actually have a pretty good flavor. And these are, it says on there, greenhouse grown. Goodness grown naturally, and check it out. It's the same brand as these guys, the Splenditos, that are organic, but these ones aren't certified. So if something like this is grown in a greenhouse, generally it doesn't have to be sprayed with pesticides and herbicides. So these are good enough for me, and a pound of greenhouse grown tomatoes for $1, definitely a good deal. The last thing I'm looking for today are the organic greens, and I'm in luck. They have some organic greens here. They have a whole case of non-organic, but on the bottom there, hiding, got the organic herb blend. This is earthbound, 5 ounces, only $1. So about 3 of these, about a pound, and that's for about $3. That'll save you like $2 off the Whole Foods price. Looking for some more organic produce, and check it out, man. I've totally scored right here. Organic earthbound mixed baby kale. Looks like a 9-ounce bag for $1. So 2 of those are 18 ounces. That's over a pound for $2. I always encourage you guys to get baby kales and tender greens. They digest a lot better and they taste a lot better than the larger kales. Thank you everybody for coming tonight. It's hopefully going to be worth your time. This is something that I don't really see taught too often, is actually, how to, eat raw foods on a budget or affordably or at a, for a good price. So what I've done actually is that I've shopped around Vegas. So like this is a real world experience, not somebody coming in from out of town saying, hey, you know, this is how you could eat raw on a budget, and they'll explain generalities. I'll tell you exactly what you guys need to do tonight because I do this in Vegas every time I'm here. So, you know, I have a lot of experience eating raw foods for the last 17 years, and this combines with me being thrifty, which is, I don't know, I think that was a passion I had before I was into raw foods. I used to like shop with coupons, buy in bulk at Costco, and I can't do that anymore since I'm raw because a lot of the things they have coupons for are like packaged and processed foods, which we know are not necessarily too good for us and that have a long shelf life. And we want to eat things that expire quickly because those are the things that have some of the most valuable nutrients in it, such as the phytochemicals and phytonutrients that can be lost with processing. So how many people have heard me speak before? So almost everybody. There's a few people that haven't. So I'm just going to really quick get into a really abbreviated version of my story to let the people that haven't heard me speak before know why I got into raw foods, because it's a very important point that I like to make. The long and short of me getting into raw foods is because I got into raw foods for my health. I had a health condition called spinal meningitis, and I was hospitalized, put in the intensive care unit, and the doctors told me I might not make it out alive. Luckily, through higher powers, I made it out alive, but when I was leaving the hospital, the doctor said, you got the spinal meningitis because of complement immune deficiency, which they said basically is, in layman's terms, it's defective genes cause a, you know, chronically weak immune system. And so, because of this, I needed to find a way to build my immune system because I didn't want to get another disease, be put back in the hospital with meningitis or whatever else, and then not be as lucky next time because, you know, I didn't make it through that situation with raw foods. That being said, after I got out, I got more serious about my health, and it took me a year or two to try to figure out what I really need to do to be as healthy as possible. And so I found juicing, I found cleansing, and then I found raw foods, and I pretty much in that order, and I just jumped in full force because for me it was about either living or not living. And you know, that's a really strong reason. So when you have a strong reason like that, if I put something cooked in my mouth, maybe I won't be here tomorrow. I mean, that's pretty extreme, but you know, that was my belief system, and even to this day, like, I just don't really want to put something in my body that's not gonna nourish me and feed me, because you know, there's many people walking around and we could absolutely live on McDonald's and all kinds of fast foods and junk foods, but you know, are you really going to have the highest level of health when you get older? You know, are you going to be in a wheelchair and, you know, not too healthy? You're going to be running around like people like, you know, the juice man, formerly known as the juice man, Jay Quarters, who's like 89 years young, who's been juicing and teaching the message of raw foods for so many years now, and he's still, you know, playing with his grandkids and all kinds of stuff, you know? So you could be vibrant health into your older age, not, you know, like in a wheelchair like many people do, because, you know, you're going to get a different result if you eat the food that we're naturally designed for. And I think that's a really big problem, is that we've all been marketed to, you know, what we should be eating based on marketing and commercials and who has a lot of money to, you know, do that. And then they have the coupons to buy the stuff for cheaper. But, you know, people like the farmers here in the Las Vegas area and produce industry, they don't have a ton of money like some of the other industries do to, you know, spend to market you guys, to let you guys really know what to eat, even including people into raw foods. I mean, you still don't see commercials for, you know, people, or a lot of people promoting just fruits and vegetables. I mean, they're promoting, you need cacao, you need, you know, this, you need that, you need all kinds of crazy stuff. And, you know, if you don't eat these foods, then those foods might be better than, obviously, fast foods, but I think, you know, just getting back to the basics, like every other creature on earth eats, aside from domesticated animals, they eat, you know, their natural diet, fruits and vegetables, and if they're carnivore, they eat, you know, meats. So I really, overall else, I want everybody to just get back to a more natural diet with what we should be eating in the first place, instead of, you know, things that are made in factories that people could package up that, you know, a company could profit off you. So that's my story, and that's why I'm doing this talk. Another thing that I got some points here that I want to talk about. One of the reasons why I also want to give this talk is because, you know, in our country, we're all used to cheap food. I don't know how many people have traveled outside the country or different countries. Like, when I travel to different countries, like, food is significantly more expensive than it is here in the U.S. And as Americans, I think we expect cheap food, and guess what? As food gets more processed, it generally gets cheaper, because of a longer shelf life, it's going to sit around longer, and they could do things on mass scale. You know, to pick leafy greens, you know, I was picking leafy greens out of my garden tonight, and I was hand picking each one, and labor is probably one of the most expensive inputs to a farm. But you know, with corn and with, you know, soybeans, they could take these big tractors. One guy could like farm 10 acres, you know, easily. So anything when it's getting really mechanized, you know, I prefer not to eat those kind of foods because those are the things that are also being GMO'd, you know, the soy and the corn and whatnot. So we're used to cheap food. Other countries have more expensive food bills, especially some of the people out in YouTube land that might be watching right now. You know, they complain when I post a video like this. Let's say, John, I can't get stuff that cheap. You know, eating raw foods for 14 days, I wish I could do that. Or I'll even get complaints like, John, $14 a day for a raw foods diet is too expensive. And if you think that, I mean, like, I think when you spend money on the foods you're eating and getting the highest quality food, you're making an investment much more valuable than any investment, in my opinion, you can make in your life. Better than putting money in the bank, better than, I don't know, going down the strip and putting in a slot machine. Better than anything because you're putting it into your health. And when you make food choices that are going to nourish you and give you the highest level of health, then you're going to be healthy. And this is going to only save you money years down the road because you could be put in the hospital. I mean, a lot of Americans lose their lives because of, you know, the big killers, heart disease, cancer, diabetes, and these things, you know, based on my research, are preventable from basically eating the right foods. So you could avoid all that stuff if you do the right thing. So I really want to encourage you. I mean, today's talk, it was originally going to be how to eat raw for under $20 a day, and that was before I got here. And then I modified it today because after I did my printout, it's under $14 a day. But now it's going to be under $15 because I forgot one item, so I'm going to have to substitute. That's all right. But nonetheless, who cannot afford $15 a day to eat probably with some of the healthiest foods on the planet? I mean, everybody in here should be able to do that. My brother, I mean, he eats a conventional diet. If he just goes out to eat at whatever, I don't know what that place is called, P.F. Chang's and all these other Chipotles, and he just gets fast food a couple times a day. I mean, he's like way more expensive than $14 a day. So it really doesn't have to be that expensive. I really want to encourage you guys to actually, you know, spend the $15 a day you need to eat healthy, and it's not that hard. You know, I got some survey results from some of the people that attended that said, you know, people spend maybe $20, $30 a day, and, you know, some people have different challenges with the raw foods diet, like where to get the best food, and, you know, I'm going to cover that today. I have a whole list here of where I bought everything, and I'll pass this around so you guys can see. And not only, you know, am I getting these things and getting them at an affordable price, and actually most of it's organic, over 80% is organic. The other thing that's really important to me is that you meet or exceed the daily RDIs. I mean, people may give you guys recipes all the time. I mean, people will give you recipes, and if you do the nutrient breakdown of that, you know, it might be like there's different like graphs in here and stuff, and I'll pass this around too. But there's different graphs in here. On $14 a day, you could meet all your U.S. RDAs that are on this list here, except for two. One of which you could get free every day if you get enough sun. What is that? Vitamin D. Vitamin D is not in, you know, or for the most part, there's one exception that I know of, not in plant foods. And then the other thing is vitamin B12. So, you know, I do recommend a vitamin B12 supplement. They do have one here. Could you give me the small bottle? I do recommend they have one here, and it's a small investment of $10 for a little bottle of B12 so that you'll be safe and you'll make sure you get that essential nutrient because it's not naturally occurring as it should, you know, in the olden days. And this is the B12 that they have here that I'd recommend. It's actually called Nutritional, and it's very clean. It doesn't have, you know, things like xylitol or sugar alcohols or preservatives in it. So I recommend that for you guys. And once again, that's only $10. So, I mean, but aside from that, all the foods that you're going to see me share with you guys today meet your U.S. RDAs, and you could, you know, leaf through that and see, I mean, even a lot of the different minerals and everything. I mean, it's insane. So we'll go over that in a little bit. So another thing, if $14 is too expensive to you, like, you know, some of you guys, it might be too expensive, then I'd recommend, you know, besides raw foods, the best way you can eat, in my opinion, is, you know, cooked vegan food. So a whole foods diet. I know I don't mean Twinkies and things like that. I mean adding something like beans. If you add like cooked beans and grains, you know, and I'm not a big fan of the glutinous grains, but I like the beans, or the non-glutinous grains, you can significantly get more calories and lower your cost. That being said, it's so cheap to do this. Why not just do this? Because in my opinion, it's much better anyways. Not to say that we don't want to not include some beans in our diet, because they are actually also very healthy and beneficial. One of the things that I really focus my work on is Dr. Joel Fuhrman. How many people know Dr. Joel Fuhrman? He does what's called a nutritarian diet. And you could be a vegan, vegetarian, nutritarian. You could be a conventional eater, nutritarian. You could be a raw food nutritarian. And a lot of people into raw foods don't necessarily talk about this. And what the nutritarian means, it means you're eating a nutrient-dense diet. For example, some people in raw foods, and this is actually going to be less expensive if you want to eat this way, some people in raw foods eat 30 bananas a day and 1 head of romaine lettuce. And that's calorically dense, and it's probably really cheap. You could do it for, man, I don't even know how much, like probably $8 or something. And you'll get all your calories, but the challenge I have with that is, you're not getting a full spectrum of nutrients. It's not going to meet all your, RDIs like I'm showing, or going to be showing you guys in that chart right there. So I want to encourage you guys to eat a nutrient-dense diet, and that means each different, thing has different nutrients in it. There's zeaxanthin and lutein in these greens here, and all different kind of phytochemicals and phytonutrients besides just the standard, vitamin A, B, C, and some of the minerals. So that's very important because the nutrient density in some of these phytochemicals are some of the most protective qualities of the food, that like enhance our eyesight, that provide us the free radical scavenging capabilities, which are antioxidants, and a lot of them are not even researched yet. So nutrient dense. Let's see here. Another reason why I want to give this talk today is because a lot of people complain like organic is so expensive, and that can be absolutely true if you just go and shop at Whole Foods and you're trying to eat organically. You're gonna go broke. One of my friends called Whole Foods whole paycheck, because it's gonna take your whole paycheck, and it's not. And actually, I don't think there's like one thing I source from Whole Foods here. So unless it's on sale at Whole Foods, it's definitely really expensive. And in most cases, most things sold at Whole Foods are actually not Whole Foods, which I kind of find I don't know, ironic. So let's see here. Pretty much got all that, I guess. Okay, so the best way to save money by buying raw foods, and these are just some basic tips I'm going to give you guys. Number one is minimize purchasing raw food products in packaged bottles and jars. They have some great products out here that's packaged raw foods, different kinds of, goji berries and, cacao and carob powder and all these things. And yeah, I like to eat some of those once in a while. But for the most part, those things per pound are significantly more expensive than fruits and vegetables. So, I want to encourage you guys to get away from the packages and stick with the fresh produce like we should. If you want to play with some of those sometimes for a birthday party or, anniversary, that's definitely great. Eat seasonally whenever possible. Obviously, anything in season is in abundance in the marketplace, and we have a law of supply and demand, which dictates the prices. So the more supply there is, the prices go down. So oftentimes I'll eat what's on sale. So I'll go into sunflower market, which is now Sprouts, and just go there on a Wednesday when they have double sale ad day, and I'll buy all the things on sale. The things on sale are probably the things that are in season because they have an abundance of them, and they want to just move them out because Sprouts got a good deal from the the middleman, the wholesaler, and then they're just passing the savings on to you. Another way to eat seasonally that's very effective is actually going to the farmer's market. One of the things I got at the farmer's market this time was pomegranate. How many people know, or how many people have any idea how much a pomegranate usually costs in the store or somewhere? $3. Yeah, $2-3. So this is an organic pomegranate, actually grown, I don't know, I forget, like near Loganville, whatever. Logandale. And it was 50 cents. So actually I bought almost all the lady had. And actually that's what I was drinking this morning. So another thing I want to mention is that what I'm going to show you guys is an average day for me, but not every day is this exact ingredient list, and I don't want you to go out, John eats this, for under $14, I'm going to eat this every day for the rest of the year. No, that's not the point. The point is to give you guys an example of what I do and also give you some other hints and tips of what I do so that you can buy things that are in season, and some of the things are staples. And do something very similar each day. So this is not set in stone. This is just the example of like what one of my days would be. And actually what I did with a lot of those pomegranates, I think I de-seeded, and I'll show you guys how to easily de-seed a pomegranate in a little bit. I de-seeded, I don't know, must have been at least a half dozen of them, maybe more. And a couple apples, and I juiced it up, so it made a really rich, delicious juice. And I made about 60 ounces of juice, so I had like 32 ounces earlier, and then now this. So yeah, eating seasonally, because they're in season right now, you can definitely save a lot of money. Another thing is shop locally at farmers markets or visit the farms. So there are some farms around here in Las Vegas. How many people have been to Gilcrease? A number of people. They generally have produce for like about $1 a pound. So I got these cucumbers, fresh picked, that I got to pick myself, and that's a real treat. This time of year, it's really nice to go out there because it's not really hot. And these were $1 a pound. Yes, they still got fresh, locally grown Armenian cucumbers. Also got zucchini. Lots of zucchini left. They're kind of getting shy on the cucumbers there, but lots of zucchini. These are $1 a pound too. I mean, they don't spray. They're not certified organic, but on those crops they don't spray, and that's what they've told me.
And how do you spell that? Is that G-I-L?
Gilcrease. It's like it's on Tenaya and
North Farm.
yeah, it's like North Farm, like 7800 North Tenaya, I think is the address that pops in my head. So that's one place, and then also there's another place called Cowboy Trail Farm, which is open every Saturday. You could go by there and visit their farm and buy things direct from them. Also, another really good resource that I also visited on this trip, but I got some tomatillos that I didn't use in my recipe today, and they were like $2 a pound. So the Master Gardener's Orchard is on Horse Drive and Decatur, North Decatur. And it's like North Las Vegas, and they generally sell their produce for $2 a pound. Some things more, some things less, but on average $2 a pound. And they have some of the most exotic things you'll find around here. Like last trip to Vegas, I got jujubes or jubes. They're like a Chinese date, and they're over dried for my particular taste, but they're really inexpensive, and I just finished them up this trip. They're really good. Coming up in about 2 weeks, they'll have Nevada grown persimmons, so I'm really excited about that. Right now, other things they had like apples and pears, and they have a lot of different varieties because it's a Master Gardener's Orchard. They do a lot of experimental growing and plant different varieties. So instead of just having Rome apples or Red Delicious apples, they got all these other varieties that you guys never heard about and or probably tasted, and some of them taste amazing. Let's see here. So yeah, visit farms, definitely an important thing to do. Let's see, where are we? Don't eat at raw restaurants is another tip. I mean, I mean, you could blow $15 on one plate of food.
But it's good.
But it's good, unless you're in Chicago. So if you visit Chicago, there's this raw Indian restaurant that I visited, $15.99, all you could eat, only Monday nights. I have a video on that. It's on OKRaw.com. I did a review. And it's all you can eat, $15.99. So that could cut down your food bill, because basically what I did is I had a juice in the morning, starved myself all day, and went there for dinner. And I got there when they opened at like 6:30, and we stayed till like 10. And you gotta slow down. Don't like shovel it all, take your time and chew it well. But I had like 3 plates of food and a good dessert and a smoothie. So that was definitely a good deal. Unfortunately, there's not many all-you-can-eat raw food restaurants around. There's another one in Florida, or 2 in Florida, at Hippocrates Health Institute. That's $20 all you could eat. And then Nuage Cafe. I have a video and a review of that as well online. So a lot of times when I'm traveling, I'll make videos to share my secrets and tips with you. I have actually many videos on how to get produce wholesale, which I haven't fully discovered yet here in Vegas. It's a little more difficult, but I will if I do. There's a great model of a local foods co-op, or making your own co-op. Christina Carrillo Bucaram made one down in Texas, and she has 7,000 people, where she literally buys stuff wholesale and then basically sells it, not even sells it, but just distributes it to the people at the price she's getting it for. And she has incredible buying power, and I talked to her at a last event that I was at. So she shares how to do that with people.
And her name's Bugar?
It's fully raw. It's just, her website is rawfullyorganic.com. Rawfully Organic. It's Christina Carrillo Bucaram.
Okay.
But yeah, I think that's definitely something that's needed here in Las Vegas, is some kind of buyers or buying club where people could just pool money, and then somebody's in charge of it, and then all you got to do is just drive down to LA like once a week or something, and you could get wholesale produce. I've already done that, so I can show you guys how to do that. But somebody needs to drive down there, pick up the stuff, and come back and distribute it. There just needs to be a system and somebody dedicated to doing that. And we could do it. It's easy. Okay, so let's see. Another tip is actually shop around at different stores to find the best deals. It's very important. I mean, you'll notice I shopped at a lot of different stores to get some of these deals, and I probably could have saved not as much money if I didn't go to all the different stores, but I kind of make it a game. It's kind of fun for me, I like hunting for deals. And in the olden days, before there were stores to buy things at, right, you'd have to literally forage for your food and go around. So I'm literally foraging for my food at different stores, and when I'm trying to find the best quality stuff at the lowest possible price. That being said, I also forage things out of my backyard and actually off trees locally. So yeah, shopping around is definitely important, and I'll share some of those stores with you when I go over my list, and you'll see them when I pass that around. Let's see here. Oh, and then I said in my my teaser thing, you want to purchase the most cost-effective organic item. So the most cost-effective organic fruit, I mentioned it earlier. Anybody have any ideas?
Season.
Bananas.
Bananas.
So organic bananas are normally about 69 cents a pound at Vaughn's in town. It's the cheapest price I found. It's even cheaper than buying them by the each at Trader Joe's. And so like 69 cents for a pound of food is definitely good. It's really inexpensive for the calories you're getting. They have some nutrients in there too, but I don't want you to make your diet full of bananas. But if you have a few, especially in the winter time when some of the local fruits maybe go out of season, I think it's definitely something smart to do. The most optimal vegetable to be buying for the cost savings and for organic. Anybody have a guess? So they're a pretty nutrient dense vegetable.
Cabbage.
Cabbage? Cabbage is a pretty good one.
Yeah, it has a lot of nutrition.
Yeah, cabbage is pretty good. I was going to say carrots.
Carrots.
Because carrots, I get these organic carrots at Costco for 69 cents a pound. So that's, for the pound, it's pretty good, and also for the price. I mean, for the nutrients in the carrot. As long as you're chewing them well, blending them, or juicing them up, because it can be hard to extract the nutrition out of a carrot, especially when most people chew 2 times and then swallow. So yeah, those are the most cost-effective fruits and vegetables. Even better yet way to save money on your raw foods diet is to grow your own food.
We can't. It's a harsh weather here.
Bull honky. I'll say bull honky because I grow here myself. And how do the Gilcrease do it? How does the Tomato Lady do it? How do I do it?
Who's the Tomato Lady?
I have at least a dozen videos showing really excellent examples of people growing in Las Vegas, and I even have a video of an hour long showing me taking my backyard and from nothing being there and installing the irrigation system, installing and finding out where to get the best soil, and and building it and making it grow. And actually, if I was with it tonight, I would have grabbed the pound of leafy greens that I harvested from my garden, and I must have at least 100 more pounds of leafy greens right now as I'm talking. And if you bought, you could do it too. You could do it too.
I tried. It's just nothing grows.
See, now with that attitude, I don't know what I like to have like a possibility thinking is what I like to say. And you just watch some of my videos. I mean, there's certain techniques you have to do. I mean, the first time you got up on a bicycle, you probably fell off. And if you just always thought, every time I get on a bicycle, I fall off and it just doesn't work, forget it, I'm never trying it again. Then you'll never be able to ride a bicycle. But you just, just like walking. You got to get up. You might fall over, but you'll get up and you'll figure out how to walk. And you can figure out how to garden in Las Vegas if you do the specific things that it will ensure your success. And it's not too hard.
You don't need a backyard.
You don't need a backyard. You can do it on your patio. You could do it in a little, porch. You could even grow food inside your kitchen in trays, like microgreens or, sprouts in trays. And there's actually a company out here doing it, and pretty soon I'll be visiting them and showing you guys how they do it. And they also teach classes.
They do.
They do. So it's one of the farmers here in the area that sells at the farmers markets that sells the microgreens. They usually sell in Henderson. I've only seen them on this side of town a few times. But I'm going to get out there and make a video and then share that with you guys so that you can do it too, because buying some seeds super inexpensive to produce the food that you'd have to buy. I mean, microgreens are like $2.49 at Trader Joe's right down the way for like just a few ounces. So that's incredibly expensive. But when you take some seeds, literally for pennies, and turn them into food that's fresh food that you're harvesting, that's more nutrient dense, because as things are cut and shipped and processed, nutrient levels go down.
Question back there.
Yes?
Where do you buy your seeds?
So where do I buy my seeds? So a lot of the things that I start in Las Vegas are actually I buy the starts. So that's one of the other things, in a gardening talk that I'd give. I'll give one of those coming up pretty soon. But especially if you're a new gardener, I recommend just don't mess with seeds for the most part, unless you're going to be sprouting. If you're going to plant a regular soil garden, then just start with the little starter plants. You're going to be assured a much higher level of success, because sometimes things don't germinate. If you're new to it, you don't do it right, it's just not going to work, and then you're not going to have success, and you're going to get turned off. I'd rather just spend a little bit of money and buy the plants that are going to do well. For sprouting seeds, I like a place called gotsprouts.com. They're in South Florida, and they'll ship you organic seeds. Other things like sunflower seeds. You could just get the black hull sunflower seeds at Walmart. That's sold as bird seed, and then they'll actually sprout and grow into sunflower greens. And that you could buy a huge, 50-pound bag for like $10. There's many resources available in Las Vegas for learning how to grow. A lot of people give classes. They have master gardeners that'll actually help you out. You could call them anytime with your questions, and they'll give you the information you need so that you can be successful too. Another way besides actually growing your own food is finding and foraging for wild foods. So if you live in an area where you can't do that, or take a hike up in the mountains where it's not contaminated with stuff, toxins and pollution, you could definitely do that. Dandelions is something that grows relatively well that you could forage. That you could just literally get dandelion seeds and throw them out, and they'll grow because they literally grow as a weed. Another thing I actually harvested locally that I was going to bring some tonight, but I didn't, was dates. So date palms grow here in Las Vegas. Many of the landscape trees you see are date palms, and right now they're the time that they're ripening. So last trip I was out here, I climbed a date palm and harvested a bunch of dates. And dates, they're not cheap. They're like $4 a pound, and I must have harvested at least like $100 worth easily. That's 25 pounds, no problem. So let's see here. So next I want to talk about the raw foods that will be eaten in this day, or the sample menu day I have. So let's go over that next, and we'll go over all this stuff. So this is a standard day as an example. Not to say that you should eat this every day. If you want to eat this exact combination every once in a while, that's probably great, but I want to encourage you guys to eat different foods based on what you're going to get at a good price, and then make something that's going to taste good for you. So the foods we're going to use today are young coconuts, not organic, bananas organic, frozen cherries organic, baby kale organic, apples organic, cucumbers not sprayed, collard greens, that is the thing I forgot from my garden, they're better than organic, celery, hot pepper, carrots, tomatoes, wakame seaweed, horseradish, kraut, pomegranate, avocado, Brazil nut, sesame seeds, zucchini squash, and some miscellaneous herbs from my garden. So I have all the different prices here, and I won't go over all of it, but I'll pass this around if everybody could just pass it down. You'll see actually where I got it from. My favorite place to shop at here in town for specifically organics are, number one, I like Sprouts, so formerly known as sunflower markets. If you go on a Wednesday, their ad begins on the Wednesday and ends on the Wednesday, so you have double ad day. So you have the benefit of last week's ad and the upcoming week's ad. So if you go there and get everything on sale, you're going to be doing pretty good on the prices. I don't generally buy too many things that are not on sale in my personal life, unless it's something that I really want. Another place I really like a lot is Costco. They generally have a few things organic for the most part all the time. Organic spring mix, organic spinach. They now have actually organic baby kale and organic carrots. They also have hothouse grown things like hothouse peppers and hothouse cucumbers that I will get if I can't get organic ones for a good price. Right now they also have organic apples, and in a few months they'll probably have organic blueberries like they normally do. They also have had organic strawberries and raspberries, just within the past few months. Sometimes they'll have also, some Costco's have organic celery and organic broccoli as well. And it just depends on the Costco. Like one Costco might have more organics than others, and I don't know exactly how they do that. In addition, I got these guys here. These are organic frozen cherries, and I like cherries because they're, once again, a really nutrient-dense food with a lot of different, antioxidants in there. And that's another thing I eat besides nutrient density. I eat for antioxidants. Another place I like besides the farmers markets and a store is actually the 99 only store, the dollar store. So this at the dollar store was $1. This is 9 ounces of organic baby kale. So that's about a little less than $2 a pound. At Costco it's like $2.66 a pound, which is still good, but this still beats it. That being said, not every dollar store always carries organics. It's like whatever they get in on the shipment. So sometimes I'll have it, sometimes they won't, and I do go to multiple 99 only stores to find the stuff I need, and I just kind of like doing that. The other thing they had also this week is they had the herb blend salad mix. This is once again organic, and I've gotten different blends from them in this size box, whether it's a spring mix, a spinach, and arugula. They had a frisee mix once, all different kinds, but this is 5 ounces per dollar. So 3 of these is about a pound, so that's about $3 a pound for your organic greens that are pre-washed. So I like that a lot because that saves me time in the kitchen. I can just literally open this up, blast it through the juicer, put it in the blender, or just put it in a bowl and have an instant meal without having to wash and get all the dirt out and all that kind of stuff. And they're really inexpensive. So 99 only stores. I guess other than that, sometimes I'll fill in at Trader Joe's because in general Trader Joe's is lower price than Whole Foods. Like I think they had organic apples. If you buy a 3-pound bag, they're like $1, or 2-pound bag, it was $1.25 a pound, which is pretty good. But sunflower beat it at 99 cents a pound on sale. So I'll go ahead and maybe I'll talk about. So what we're gonna do today is how I normally eat is I have several meals during the day, maybe 3, maybe 4 different meals, and it's always different. It's always one or a combination of these factors. So one, I could eat something whole. So I like to do what's called a mono meal. So a mono meal is when you eat one thing at one time until you're totally happy and totally full. So a friend the other day ate, mono meal of tomatoes. I don't know. I mean, I could do that if I was in my garden picking them and they're really delicious. Or you could just do a mono meal of these. Oh, that's another thing I actually got this week. So this was actually from the dollar store too. And these are 1 pound of Campari greenhouse grown tomatoes. So these aren't organic, but they're greenhouse grown. And generally when they're greenhouse grown, they use IPM, integrated pest management, which means because it is a controlled environment, they don't generally have to spray. They don't have to use herbicides because they're only planting what's going to grow and no seeds are going to get in there to germinate. And then the bugs, they only spray in small parts if they have to, and that they're only going to get in if they open the door and if the bug comes in or it comes in with a plant or something. The dollar store also this week had smaller, I was going to bring the example, but I didn't, also had small packages of cherry tomatoes by the same company that are certified organic as well. Yes?
Do you go to both the 99-cent store and the dollar store?
I use the term interchangeably. I call the 99 only store the dollar store because that's the best one. Some of them have produce and some of them don't. The ones that I'll go to are the one on Decatur, the one on Spring Mountain, and the one on I think it's like Tropicana and Fort Apache. So those are the 3 that I regularly go to. Some of the other ones too around town do have, I think the one on Rancho actually has a fairly large produce section too. And actually, I got organic oranges there before actually. One of my meals is just mono eating a fruit, and so today my mono eating a fruit was like 1 pound of grapes, organic grapes. They're about $2.50 a pound at Sunflower. And then I had another meal of a smoothie today, and then I also had a juice. So that's what I've had so far today. But in this day, the example day, what we're going to do is we're going to do, getting ahead of myself here. So the ways I usually eat are either a mono meal or just eat foods whole. Whether you want to mix them or not, I just like to eat one thing at a time in general. And then another way I'll eat besides a mono meal is I'll have a juice. And if I don't have a juice, then I'll have a smoothie. Or I could have, just like a salad or a soup, which is kind of a combination of some of the different things because I'll be chopping up things and juicing and blending things. So every meal I have the opportunity to do a couple different options, whole foods, blended or juiced for the most part. Salad will be kind of whole. And then I'll just choose which one I want to do. When I get up in the morning, generally I like to drink something more watery, like a juice, maybe a smoothie, because we just woke up, and especially in Las Vegas, you're probably dehydrated actually just from sleeping because the water's evaporating out of you. And that's another point I really want to talk about is that it's, especially in Las Vegas, it's important to eat foods in your diet that's going to, give you the water you need so you don't have to drink extra water. A lot of the cooked foods, actually, they cook the water out of it, and the foods are actually dehydrating you, and dehydration can be the cause of many different illnesses. So by simply eating a diet in fresh fruits and fresh vegetables that have higher water content than you are, it's going to keep you hydrated naturally. That being said, here in Vegas, I also do like to drink about 32 ounces of water right when I get up and also before I go to bed to ensure that I'm going to be hydrated.
32 ounces.
Yeah, so this much. So yeah, let's see here. So what we're going to do in our sample day today is that we're going to make a smoothie, and these are the ingredients of the smoothie. We're going to do 1 coconut, some cherries, and some bananas. Then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to do a juice, And the juice is going to be some carrots, some cucumbers, some apples, 1 hot pepper, and a whole bunch of greens. So we're going to put in 9 ounces of these greens here, and then I was going to use my collard greens, which are actually free, because if you're growing your food, you don't have to pay for it. And instead, because I forgot those, we're just going to use this herb blend, which was about $1. So that'll increase the price to $14.22 a day. I think you can afford it instead of $13.22. And let's see, so that's going to be the juice. And then finally, for dinner, you can make a salad, but my last talk that I gave here was how to make a soup. And I'm really on this soup kick, especially when some of the greens don't taste as good as I'm used to. So we're going to actually make a soup for the dinner. And so this is like basically 3 meals during the day, and also you could probably do some snacking if you want on some other things. But our soup base is going to be made out of these tomatoes, some herbs, some kraut, and avocado. Here's my avocado. Some pomegranate, and some nuts and seeds. And so I guess we'll hand this out in a whole. We'll hand these out one at a time, so you can see. Let me go over this list here how I made it. So this is the food we're using, and this is it organic or not? And most of the things are yes. And then this is the source where I got it for, and this is the overall cost. Like the coconuts, I bought $10.99 for 9, because if you buy them by the each, it's like more expensive. And then the cost was $1.22 each. If you look down the cost of each item that we're eating, I mean most actually are $1 or less. Some of the things that cost more are number 1, the processed raw foods that I told you guys not to buy if you want to eat for cheap. So this is $1.50 per serving. Just the amount we're going to use cost $1.50. You could substitute like more sea vegetables. Instead of that, I just like the unique flavor that this gives, and I'm willing to pay $1.50 for that. But if you're not, you could definitely leave it out. And then another thing that was actually really expensive per each was actually the coconut. Everything else, I mean, you're going to be pretty amazed at some of the prices here. So we'll hand that out. The next thing I'll pass around too is actually, this is from fitday.com. How many people have been to the website fitday.com? So fitday.com is a website where it's free, and you can just punch in like what you're eating on a daily basis. It'll tell you like how many calories, the percentage fat, and the carbs, the protein, and also all the other nutrients in the foods, so that you can ensure you're getting everything you need, to stay healthy. Because a lot of people teach raw foods, they'll teach a recipe, and they haven't done the nutrient breakdown of it. They'll just say eat this, and it's some of it is very high in like nuts and seeds. The amount of nuts and seeds I recommend a day is like right here. With these nuts and seeds and these vegetables, you're going to meet all your RDIs, as you'll see when I pass that around. And this is not a lot of nuts and seeds. To make this easier, I just say 1 or 2 handfuls at the max, and that's about as much as in here. This is approximately 1 ounce of sesame seeds and like a 1/4 of an ounce of Brazil nuts, and that's not very much. But the nuts and seeds have some specific nutrients that we need. Like the Brazil nuts are really high in selenium. Selenium is high to get, challenging to get in some other vegetables. The reason for the sesame seeds are specifically for the zinc, because zinc's another thing that can be difficult to obtain from fruits and vegetables unless you're eating absurd quantities. The other thing I want to talk about too is that we're also going to be getting a little bit over 2,000 calories. I think 2,200 calories on this diet. Now I didn't account for actually juicing some of the vegetables. I just put we're going to use 1 pound of carrots, and yeah, some of it's coming out in fiber, and we're going to get a lot of the juice, so that might change things a little bit. And the other thing that I was a little bit curious was it says 1 coconut's 270 calories, and that's from this chart, and different places I've seen different amounts, so I'm not sure that's completely accurate either. But nonetheless, this basically shows all the things we'll be eating. Oh, here's 2246 calories is the total amount of just the food here for $13.22. So we'll pass that around. This next one here goes over the U.S. RDIs in the numeric versions. So it shows that there's no B12, there's no vitamin D, but everything else, we're getting all the nutrients we need. Pass that around. This next one is the one I like a little bit better. This is actually pretty much that same one, but it actually has the bar graph. So you can see, like on vitamin A, we're getting 887% of the normal. Like, so that's a lot more than 100%. So I mean, most of these items, I mean, the 100% lines here, we're getting in excess of all the different nutrients in this diet. This last graph is a pie graph, and this pie graph basically shows you the calories coming from fat, protein, and carbohydrates and alcohol, because alcohol is also can provide you with calories. There's 0 calories coming from alcohol, and you know the fat calories are 24% overall. Now there's some people that recommend a high fat raw foods diet. If you're eating a recipe out of many raw food recipe books, you may be eating 50% fat or more. And I don't advocate a diet that is that high in fat. I think, you know, just because it's a raw fat doesn't necessarily make it a good fat. That being said, I'd rather have you guys eat a raw fat than another fat, but we want to keep our fat calories down. There's some raw food diets like the 80-10-10 diet, which recommends a 10% fat, which is basically no overt fats. So they're not eating nuts and seeds, and they wouldn't probably eat, you know, the coconut meat, or maybe even some of the people wouldn't even eat an avocado because it's too much fat. But you know, as Paul could tell you, our brains are made of fat. We can be called fat heads, and it's very important. Besides also eating fats in your diet, in my opinion, we also need to eat the right kinds of fats. So the kinds of fats today we're eating are, you know, the coconut, just you know, and the avocado, and some of the nuts and seeds here. And another thing that's very important is to rotate the kinds of fats you're eating. So, you know, ensure you eat omega-3 rich fats, including the chia, the hemp, and the flax seeds, also very important. Another thing that's not often talked about also is if you are on an 80-10-10 diet and actually not eating any overt fats, your omega-3 levels, from what I have seen, will be in a pretty good range because leafy greens have high omega-3s, but the problem is when you start eating other nuts, especially in large quantities, that could throw your ratio out, you know, of your omega-3 to 6 balance, which is a very important balance in my opinion. And so let's see, fat 24, protein is 8% of total calories, but we're getting 100% of our RDI, and the carbs is 68%, so we'll pass that around. So those are all the different handouts that show you get all the nutrition you need from the $13.22. Pretty basic. Anybody could do that. It took me a couple hours this afternoon to do that. I don't always do that. I just know if I eat a wide, varied diet, mostly fruits and vegetables with some nuts and seeds here and there, you're going to get what you need. And it's also very important, like I mentioned earlier, to rotate the foods what you're eating. Don't eat the same thing day in and day out. So I guess we'll get into doing the recipes now, because that's the fun part. So how we're going to use some of these things is the first thing we're going to make is a smoothie. And you guys will get to sample some of this stuff. Let's see how I can arrange this so I can show this. So the smoothie is going to be a pretty basic smoothie. You know, I like to make smoothies that are either like a green smoothie or a fruit-based smoothie. And it's very simple. A lot of times I'll use the coconut because coconut to me is a rich source of water, nature's purified water. It's high in electrolytes, also plant cytokines, which can be anti-aging from my research. And so instead of drinking water, I'd rather drink, you know, water from foods. And coconut, a food, has a lot of water content. So we're just going to take a knife here and cut the husk off the coconut. And today I am using a Thai coconut. Based on my research, the Thai coconuts are actually dipped in sulfides and fungicide called thymobenzol, which is also used as a anti-worming drug. So for that reason, I keep the plastic on it, so I'm not touching that. And another question that happens is that people say is, you know, well, because they soak this whole nut in there, does it actually go through and penetrate the hard nut? And you know, I have seen testing to that fact, and some people say, most of the time they say no, and I would probably, in my opinion, say no. That being said, I do also try to include a lot of the Mexican coconuts instead of the Thai coconuts. So they are available at a place like the Mexican markets in town. I think it's called Mariana's, but they're more expensive than the Thai coconuts. So I like to rotate. So once we got this, I'll just use this knife, and this knife is from the dollar store too. So with the dollar knife, you can easily open a coconut. That's chock full of water. So besides the water, one of the most valuable parts to me is the coconut meat, and that's where most of the calories are. You know, for me, calories are like not super critical. It's more important for me that you get a lot of nutrients. I mean, if you're eating a lot of foods with nutrients, you're going to probably get your calories as well. I think a lot of people tend to focus on calories, and that's maybe not necessarily the best thing to focus on. A lot of the standard processed foods are really rich in calories and low in nutrients. We want to focus the exact opposite, and that's what a nutritarian is. High in nutrients, low in calories, and that's where the leafy greens really shine. So for example, this morning I made actually a smoothie similar to this, but I used, instead of fruits, I used greens, so it was a green smoothie. Alright, so there's all our coconut meat. Next thing we're going to do, we're going to put in a few cherries. So there's only a few ounces of cherries in here. These are just frozen cherries. You know, and one of the things you'll find is that I don't tend to use a lot of frozen foods. I tend to use all fresh foods, and I don't actually use a whole lot of dried foods either. You know, once again, especially here in Vegas, you know, it's dehydrating just living out here. And we want to put foods that are going to raise our moisture level and not subtract from it. If you eat dried foods or cooked foods, you better drink extra water to, you know, make up for the water that now those foods are going to pull out of your body, because it takes, you know, liquid for your body to process and move all the stuff through you. Otherwise, it'd be very painful to go to the bathroom. And for some of you guys, it might be painful anyway. All right, so here's where we're gonna add 4 bananas. These are organic bananas. And I mean, the organic banana prices varied a lot in Vegas. I've noticed, like, some places were as high as like $1.19 a pound, and then, you know, I got them at Vaughn's for $69 a pound. That's like almost half the price. So I mean, it does pay to shop around. In general, at Vaughn's, I like to buy the organic bananas, and if somebody doesn't have celery for inexpensive, then Vaughn's is usually the least expensive for celery. And then if they have things, you know, on sale, then the things on sale with their little club card thing, that's usually a pretty good deal. Also in the summertime, I like to use more, you know, frozen foods, because frozen foods are the only thing that's wrong with them is they're frozen. They still have the water content, where dried foods are missing the water content. So I'd rather do frozen than dried. Also, frozen foods will make your, you know, food a little bit cold. So this is a good thing in the summertime when it's too hot outside. Okay, so can I get some of these? Maybe pass some samples out to people.
Now, on the frozen, does that kill the enzymes or something?
So the frozen actually does reduce the enzymatic activity, and, in my opinion, reduces some of the nutrition in the food. So for that reason, I always recommend, you know, fresh fruits. Generally are raw, but if you buy frozen vegetables, they're generally blanched before they freeze them. So they, in my opinion, they're not considered raw, though, you know, it's still a much better food than something else you may eat. That being said, freshest is bestest is what I like to say. Yes?
Instead of coconut for a base, what other bases do you use?
So instead of coconut, I use coconut water and coconut meat as the base. You could just use, you know, I would make a juice. You could use, you know, tomatoes. You could just blend a whole bunch of tomatoes as a base. I generally like a fruit base, and I like to use whole foods. I mean, you could use water if you wanted to. I would tend to juice some apples or a produce item that I got inexpensive this week. So, you know, a carrot juice base, tomato base, or a cucumber base. Apples are 99 cents a pound. I'd use an apple juice base that I made fresh. So that's another step. You'd have to juice and then blend it up with your greens. Or you could just, I mean, if you have a blender that's powerful enough, you could literally just put in apples in the blender and just blend that up. It's going to be a lot thicker than this is. But, you know, that's definitely up to you. See, so that's going to go around here.
Okay, John.
Yes.
You're using a lot of calories of banana, and then you say I don't mind the fat content, because you're right, the brain has to have all that cholesterol, not to mention your heart, it protects your body. But you're using 2,000 calories a day, isn't that quite a bit? 2,000 calories a day, you're eating 2,000 calories a day?
Right, yeah, so another chart actually that I didn't print out, because you have to put on Fit Day, you have to put in like your size and weight. And it said that I'm eating 2,200 calories a day, but I'm burning 2,400 based on my activity level. So I'm still at a caloric negative. Now, that being said, it depends on your specific needs. And this is my example day. Doesn't mean you need to do exactly like this. You know, personally, you might want to reduce the number of bananas. You might want to put 1 banana instead of 4, because 4 is a lot. But this is what I need to survive, because I mean, I don't want to get too skinny and weak like many raw foodists, you know, that look like stick figures. I think I look pretty healthy. And some people, I think, in raw foods, they get looking gaunt. And maybe they're not eating enough calories. I don't exactly know.
Yeah, because like I don't drink naked juice because it has so much sugar.
Right. Well, yeah. I mean, the thing is, when you have your own appliances, a blender and a juicer, you could make things like the next thing I'm going to make a juice. And you better sit down when you're drinking this juice, because this juice is not going to be very sweet. It has a total of 2 Granny Smith apples, and Granny Smith apples, I'll tell you guys, are definitely not the sweetest apple. And this is going to be pretty much a green juice, because it's going to have like, you know, almost a pound of greens in there. And if I brought my tree collards, it'd even be stronger. We're going to use an herb mix that's not quite as strong. So yeah, you need to tailor what you're doing to your specific needs. You know, I recommend, for the most part, for me, I do eat a lot of fruits. And for many people, that might not be such a good idea. But you need to get your calories from somewhere. And you also need to figure out, based on your activity level, how many specifically you need. Yes?
On the list, there was 2 stores that I've never heard of before.
Sure.
SF Super and Winco? Where
Sure.
are those?
So Winco is a Winco supermarket, and they're on like North Decatur and 215, and there's one in Henderson on Stephanie. And that one, I just put that on the list because I got these avocados that are not organic for 28 cents. So that's insane. They had a limited 10, or I would have bought more. But but this is a lot of calories for a little money. That being said, you know, there are another way to save money is actually, you know, buy things conventional that are on the Clean 15 list. You know, everybody know about the Clean 15 and the Dirty Dozen? So the environmental working group, it's ewg.org, put together a list. They do this every year, and they do a survey of all the, you know, conventional produce items and the, you know, the residues of pesticides it contains. And so avocados, for the most part, have been on the Clean 15, which means the least amount of, you know, or pesticide residues on them. That being said, you know, I did also buy organic avocados this week, and they were 99 cents each. So 99 cents versus 28 cents. I mean, at the store I got them, which were the organic avocados, was at Sunflower for 99 cents each. The non-organic were 78 cents. So for me, that's a no-brainer. Okay, non-organic for 78 or organic for 99. Okay, John, vote with your money. The organic ones probably have more nutrition, and they taste better. So that's what I'm going to do for 20 cents difference. You know, when they're a quarter of the price, you know, I'll do these guys that are on the Clean 15 list. Good enough for me. The other one you mentioned was SF Super. So SF Super is an Asian market. It's right on Spring Mountain, at like Spring Mountain, and I want to say
Yes.
Decatur. And so that one is just a big Asian store. And they have a big produce section. Most is non-organic, but they have a pretty good selection of the seaweeds. Another place for seaweeds that you could, that's actually maybe better than that, is actually the International Marketplace on Decatur. Yes?
On your chart, your fat percent was 24. Is that an average for you?
So, you know, what I like to say is my fat percentage will range anywhere from 10 to about 25%. That's 25% is a high day, and this depends on the food I have available. You know, right now we're getting into the fall, winter, and there's not as many fresh fruits or a wide variety of fresh fruits that I would like to eat at a, you know, pretty affordable price. I mean, I could sit there and eat a lot of bananas and apples, and then I could, you know, lower the other calories from other foods. But on this day, it just worked out to be about 25%. So I recommend from 10 to 25%, and obviously it's going to vary.
If I want to eat a low sugar diet, is it hard to get enough calories that way?
Right,
Like
so
bananas are high in sugar.
right. So eating a low-calorie diet on a raw foods diet can be quite challenging, because then you're going to probably have to get your calories from more fat, because that's what really contains fat. Or the other option, which you could do partly, is, you know, if you want to do, you know, I don't know if you do carrots or not, because they can be quite sweet, especially when juiced. You could do a lot of juice, and that will ramp up your calories. I think I figured it out once. Like, I pretty much need about, if I get about 2 gallons of juice, I'll get all my calories. But that's 2 gallons of juice. That's a lot of juice. I don't have a problem with that, but many people might. Another way you could do it actually is the sprouted grains. So you could do something like sprouted buckwheat or the non-glutinous grains, and, you know, they're more calorically dense, but still, that's definitely a lot of grains. I think a much smarter thing to do would just be, you know, do 80% raw, and then include some cooked whole vegan food, some steamed beans, some steamed vegetables if you have to. I'd rather juice them, or some steamed non-glutinous grains, in my opinion, would be a better idea. I mean, I do the all raw thing, and I've been doing this for 17 years now, 99.999%, and this may be unrealistic for most people, and actually I don't advocate that people do an all raw diet. So, you know, doing a lot of what I'm incorporating here, and then by getting your fat calories down by doing this, you know, some cooked beans, which are very high in nutrition, and some of the non-glutinous grains would probably be a really good idea in my opinion. It's much better to sprout your beans and then cook them. A lot of beans do have, you know, phytates and things that need to be broken down by heat. And, you know, I had a friend that sprouted kidney beans and then ate them raw. She got really sick. So that's not fun. There's only about a handful of beans, you know, lentils is one of them, mung beans is another one, that you can actually sprout and eat raw. So I'm talking, for the most part, when I'm talking about beans, you should definitely sprout them and then cook them to get all those, you know, anti-nutrients out. And the Whole Foods locally, they have like a wide selection of heirloom beans now. So you could try all these different cool beans and whatnot. Another thing, you know, well, I'm growing runner beans out here, and it grows in the, when it's not in the middle of summer, it's doing quite well right now this time of year, and I eat the little bean pods off my plants.
What are examples of what is it? The
Non-glutinous grains, so millet and quinoa would be two good ones. Teff is another one, I believe. Amaranth. Right. Okay, so how did everybody like the smoothie? I didn't even try one yet.
Very good. Very good.
Yeah, it's quite good. Yeah, normally I don't like, I'm not as anal on measuring everything out like, oh, 3 ounces of cherries. I'll just take the bag, open it up, and dump a bunch in, whatever lands in there. But I wanted to prove a point with this and show that it could be done for under 14 a day, so I kind of tailored everything to how I wanted it. All right, so the next thing is going to be fun. It's going to be a juice. And this is where you could really start getting a lot of nutrients in. So now, since I am using the Omega Vert juicer, and I do need to mention that that is my business. I do sell juicers for a living, and I do have a lot of videos on YouTube explaining how to select the best juicer for you, and an example and demonstrations of all the different juicers. If you don't have a juicer and are considering buying one, because every juicer is just a little bit different, and just because this one is my favorite juicer doesn't mean it's going to be your favorite juicer, because the best juicer for you is going to juice the best, the things you want to juice most. And for me, what I juice most does really well in here, and it's really convenient as well. A lot of people may have this centrifugal ejection style machine. That's the kind that has a big fast spinning blade and a 3-inch wide feed chute. You could probably juice this in 2 seconds in there. And you know, those are definitely good for things like the hard vegetables and the hard fruits, so like the carrots, the cucumbers, and the celery, and even apples. But those juicers tend not to juice the greens very well. So that's why I recommend one of the slow juices, because they're going to get the maximum nutrition out of the leafy greens, which are the most, you know, nutrient dense foods on the planet. So in my opinion, those are the most important things that we should be juicing.
What do you do for roughage? Is it, I guess you're still eating those apples for roughage.
So the question is, what do you do for roughage or fiber?
Yeah.
So when you do make a juice, yes, you remove most of the fiber, but there is still some fiber that remains, especially in this machine. If you don't filter the juice out, it leaves a lot of pulp in the juice. That being said, I am eating other meals in my day besides, you know, just the juice meal. So we're gonna have a soup that's gonna have some roughage in there. You could make a salad, you know, and I eat mono meals of fruit. All these foods have fiber. You know, there are people that go on literally juice diets for a period of time, you know, several months. I know a guy actually started his juice diet in the beginning of this year and up through like August. He's been only living on juices. To me, it looked like he could probably like juice a little bit more, but he's still doing fine. I mean, there's people that go on water fasts. I just heard Lauren Lockman speak earlier this week, and he helps people with water fasts. I mean, my dad went to True North Health Center for 30 days, and he lived on water. And you still have movements just drinking water, believe it or not. So while fiber is important, you know, it's if you're eating a lot of fruits and vegetables, you're probably going to get enough. I've never had any constipation problems myself eating this way. One of the things that you'll discover if you do choose to eat this way, and this is the reason why, unfortunately, my mom, hi mom if you're watching, She doesn't like to eat this way because she says, John, if I eat the way you do, I got to go to the bathroom like 6 times a day, and it's inconvenient. Like, why do you want to go to like 1 time a day and be constipated all the time? I mean, that's why you're so anal. Sorry. It's the truth, and I just tell it like it is, man. If you've seen my YouTube videos, it just comes out. Hopefully she doesn't generally watch my videos. Hopefully she won't watch this one or I'll be in anyways. Alright, so let's get the juicing here.
John, are you going to juice like the apple core part? I saw you just pull the twig off.
Yeah, absolutely.
You shoot the core through it too?
Yeah, so as long as the core doesn't have any funky stuff, and this is an apple that's pretty fresh, doesn't have any mold in it, I'm going to juice the core. It juices right up. Some people might be concerned, John, you're going to juice the apple seeds, and the apple seeds contain cyanide. And every nut and seed may contain some level of anti-nutrients, and this is so that in nature animals aren't going to just sit there and eat the whole apple because it'll make them sick. I personally have been juicing apple seeds for a long time and I haven't had any issues. If you actually look in the health food store, they probably sell something called B17 or Laetrile, and they sell basically almond kernels, which are high in B17, and that's actually what's in these guys. So you're getting small amounts when you're juicing things like apple seeds. As long as you're not eating a lot of them, I personally don't think it's an issue, but you need to do your own research if that concerns you. I wouldn't eat a diet of just apple seeds.
Right.
But if you're eating them here and there, I don't think it's a big problem. Do what? Oh, this, okay. So the question is, why do you cut the celery if you're going to juice it? So with this specific juicer, every juicer has its pros and cons, and with this particular juicer, if you don't cut the celery because it has the long strings, like they'll get stuck in your teeth, it'll get stuck in the machine, and the way this is set up, that it clogs it. So aside from this juicer, many other juicers, you don't have to pre-cut your celery, and if I did bring my collard greens from my garden, I'd also have to pre-cut those, but because these are baby greens, they're nice and thin and not too fibrous, I don't have to cut those up. And that's another thing I want to mention actually is, it's far better in my opinion to purchase baby greens like this instead of, this is baby kale, instead of large kale. And number one, if you're buying it at the dollar store, it's probably less expensive like this. And number two, it's pre-washed, as I mentioned. But number three, it's a lot less fibrous. And also, this stuff's a lot sweeter. How many people have had the baby kale? So it tastes a lot better. I don't know about you, but I don't like to just take a bunch of kale and eat it. It kind of tastes nasty, but this actually tastes good. And you're getting the nutrition in the kale without having it taste bad. So next, I guess I'm just going to go ahead and turn this juicer on and start juicing. So let's see, in this juicer it's very important you rotate the produce you're putting in. Some juicers you could just put in anything haphazardly whenever you want. With this one you always need to put in your leaves first and then follow it by something a little bit more hard. So we're going to put in the baby kale, and we're going to use some of this herb blend here. And these are just pre-washed leaves. Another thing I like to do is do a variant. So besides just actually juicing these items, I might juice some. So this is another money-saving technique here. If you do want to save more money, instead of just juicing it all, it might be good to actually juice a lot of it. So like juice the cheap stuff. So in my opinion, like the carrots are pretty cheap, celery's inexpensive, the cucumbers and apples. But I'd actually take these greens instead. I'd take these greens instead of juicing it up. I'd actually make a juice with the stuff and then take the greens, put it in the blender with the juice. Or instead of juicing it, you could actually blend these same ingredients, but it's going to make it a lot thicker. Because you're going to have the fiber. That's also going to fill you up quicker. So if you want to feel full quicker, I personally want to get the nutrients out of it and get the most nutrient density I can. So that's why I tend to juice instead. Plus, I'm a really stickler for like good quality produce, and unless I'm like a lot of the produce I grow myself in California, which is really high quality, I don't mind eating it. But when it maybe doesn't taste as good as what I'm used to, then I just prefer to juice it to get it in.
What model is that juicer?
So this is the Omega Vert juicer.
Is that a commercial juicer?
This is not a commercial juicer. This is just a home juicer, the Omega Vert. This is called the 330 HD. Do what? Yeah. No, so this machine does a really good job, especially on the leafy greens. and the carrots gets the pulp really dry compared to some of the other machines. And this is my current favorite juicer. The main thing with this is that, for the most part, you know, a lot of juicers you got to sit there and actually push this stuff in. On the leafy greens you do need to push in, but a lot of the other stuff you just actually drop into the machine. And then it just, you know, takes it in and juices it right up. So the main challenge with this machine is that it does make it tend to make a pulpier juice. And as you saw, you need to pre-cut some of your vegetables, or it'll jam up. So juicing is one of the easiest ways to get more, specifically vegetables, in you. I prefer to basically juice my vegetables, but blend my fruits. And this is for a very important reason. A lot of vegetables, like a carrot, you know, has hard fibrous material, cellulose, and we're not able to extract the nutrients out of it, but the juicer does this for us. Because if you think about it, our bodies are nothing more or less than a juice extractor. We put something in, and it comes out, one side comes the solids, and one side comes the liquids. And that's what we're getting here. We're getting the solids and the liquids, and this is in an easily absorbable state already that the juicer did for us without our body having to really work that hard. Another question I get a lot is, oh, and also if you're juicing fruits, like we talked a little bit about earlier, you know, you're going to get more of a sugar hit. And, you know, maybe you want that because a sugar hit from fresh fruit juice is way better than a caffeine hit from coffee, of course, right? But it's probably better to do, you know, a vegetable juice that's not that much, not that sweet. So that's why I juice the vegetables and not necessarily juice a lot of fruits, but I do blend my fruits, because when you blend your fruits, you're retaining all that fiber, which is going to slow down that sugar hit you're going to get. I always like to teach, you know, in my classes, the theory of good, better, best. You know, you always want to try to do the best you can. If you can't, you know, like obviously the best would be a vegetable juice. Maybe, you know, better would be, you know, a fresh fruit juice, and then, you know, worse than that would be maybe like a pasteurized juice, but then worse than that is like a coffee or a soda. So, you know, we know not to do the coffee and soda, and if the options are coffee or soda or a fruit juice, oh, the fruit juice has too much sugar. Well, not if the option's soda, man, that's way worse. But if the option's a vegetable juice, you know. So, because we always have this, like a lot of people have this thinking like, oh, I got to do the best or nothing. And, you know, life is not about the best or nothing. There's always going to be compromises, in my opinion, and you want to just always do the best you can. If you don't have a juicer, you know, just get a blender and blend all this stuff up. Another thing that comes up a lot in my talks is, John, why would I blend or why would I juice? Well, I talked about the fruits and vegetables blending versus juicing. But you know, a lot of people say, John, isn't retaining the fiber good? And, you know, my 2 cents on that is, you know, there's a therapy called the Gerson therapy. How many people have heard of the Gerson therapy? So a handful of people. So many people know that on the Gerson therapy, they're feeding you fresh juices actually made out of mainly carrots and apples. And that's actually fairly high in sugar, but they have been healing people with things like cancer for many, many, many years now. They don't give those people blended apples and carrots. Now, why is that? Because if they did, because if it worked, I'm sure they'd do that instead of actually using a specific juicer, the Norwalk juicer, to get the results they've been getting. That's because this is literally pre-digested, and, you know, a lot of people that may have compromised digestive systems, juice is one of the easiest things to get the nutrition out of. So, you know, I see juices as like a really healing food.
Plus the quantity, you can't need that much.
Do what?
Plus the quantity, when you juice,
right,
there is so much more.
Yeah, the other thing about juicing is, I mean, I started out with a pound of carrots, a pound of cucumbers here, almost a pound of greens, and 2 apples. And I mean, I'm turning all this food into just, you know, a drink that I would drink in one sitting. In general, I drink about, you know, maybe 32 to 64 ounces of juice in one sitting, and I'm good, and I'm full. Oh, another thing I mentioned actually in the promotional material about this, the one food that I eat that keeps me satisfied for hours is the young coconut. Because it has the electrolyte-rich water and also some of the fat in there. So if I make a smoothie like this, I'll be good for several hours.
You don't need a lemon, you don't need a lemon, orange.
The lemon or orange
Yeah.
in the juice?
Yeah, I mean, yes. I mean,
people could add, I would add lemon, but I wouldn't add orange to this juice. I don't like to mix my fruits and vegetables in juices generally. The only thing I like to mix is actually I would add a lemon or apples or pears. But in general, like people make juices with all different kinds of ingredients and then it just gets like too complicated. I like to keep my juice recipes generally under 5 ingredients because if you start throwing everything but the kitchen sink, you could make some really nasty tasting juices, especially that are made with all organic ingredients that can be quite expensive and then not taste good. Then you're like, I gotta drink it because I made it, and you're just drinking it. And I've done that before, so you know that's why I speak from experience. But I have a standard juice base that I use. I pretty much used it tonight. My juice bases will usually be out of one or all the items that I'm going to list is cucumbers, carrots, apples, romaine hearts, zucchini. I think that's all of them. I got cucumbers, got celery. And I'll use those as my base, and then I'll add in just some leafy greens. And then might add in some lemon or some ginger, you know, that'll spice it up. Another thing I like to add in is actually just like 1 hot pepper. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to do the soup. And so the soup base is going to be tomatoes. So these tomatoes were $1 per 1 pound. And once again, we're going to throw them through the juicer. And as I mentioned earlier, instead you could actually just throw the whole tomatoes in the blender and blend it up. It'll make a little bit different texture than I'd like. And one of the things I like to do as something into raw foods, I really like to play with the textures. You know, if I did put the tomatoes and blend it up in the blender, you know, it'd be a lot more thick. But I don't necessarily want the thickness. Oh, and another thing I saw actually a lot, and you know, my mom tried to get me on this one, is, John, you know, there's those studies that show, you know, if you cook your tomatoes, you get more lycopene out of them than if they're raw. And that's absolutely true. But the problem is they didn't compare if you juice them. Because the problem is when you're cooking your tomatoes and getting more lycopene, that's because you're breaking down the fibrous cell walls, but at the same time you're cooking the tomatoes, you're also losing some nutrition in there because of the heat, like the enzymes. But if you juice your tomatoes, you're also going to break down the fiber and you're going to get even a higher level of absorption. And yet another reason why I like to juice things to remove the fibrous cell walls to make the nutrients more bioavailable for us.
I don't have time to research all this.
Yeah, I mean, I'm chock full of knowledge here. Yeah, I'd encourage you guys actually too. You know, I don't speak too often in Vegas. I mean, we've been doing about once a month lately, but you know, I have over 1,200 videos now on YouTube. So in every video, you're going to get information like I'm sharing with you now in usually a much shorter format, and you could have it running in the background when you're making your juice. Like, I'll be editing my videos, and I'll be actually this morning's juice, I was actually editing a video that I'm going to upload, that I already uploaded actually today. So I just have it playing in the background, my final edit, just to make sure it's all right while I'm just doing this. So it's a great thing to do to multitask.
No, you have good videos. I always recommend you.
Thank you. The question is there a big difference between organic and non-organic? So, you know, I know Stanford came out with a meta-study on lately about, you know, that organic food is not much more nutritious than conventional food. And that really kind of upset me a lot, actually. Because how they do the meta-study is that they basically take existing studies that are out there and combine all those studies into one mega-study and just show the results. But the problem I see with that, and another thing is I don't necessarily like to live my life by studies, because when they do a study, it's not always accurate, unfortunately. The reason why is because who's paying for the studies that show organic is better than conventional? Well, a lot of the, you know, conventional growers and big agribusinesses that want to promote pesticide use and, you know, chemical use. And they want to show that their product is better than organic because, you know, they're going to sell more because of it, because it's going to sway people from buying organic. So, you know, who's funding the studies is one issue. And the other thing I could definitely tell you just from eating the foods, I mean, we don't need a study to tell us, you know, what tastes good. And generally when something tastes good or tastes better, those are indicators of nutrients in the food. And
that was not my question. I'm talking about avocado, like avocado that's from tree, right?
yeah.
So they're not gonna do not much, you know.
So the difference between an organic and a non-organic avocado?
Yeah.
Oh, it's huge.
It's huge?
It depends on, you know, it depends on the grower.
Oh.
It depends on the grower. Like, you know, organic means that it doesn't, they can't use chemical fertilizers and pesticides. So, when you eat something non-organic, you may be getting, basically, in my opinion, anti-nutrients or toxins, bringing them into your body, which now your body has to now work on expelling. So why do that if you don't have to, number one? Number two, I mean, I could talk about this for a long time. I'll try to be short. Number two is that, organic farmers and conventional growers use different kinds of fertilizers to feed their plants. So conventional growers may put on like NPK fertilizer made from chemicals, made from petroleum-based products, made from natural gas. And I don't know about you, but I don't want to eat things based on petroleum products because that's not natural. Organic growers will use things like compost and manures and more natural things that would naturally occur in nature and build their soil fertility that way. And a lot of the studies I've seen, and especially being a home gardener myself, show, and my taste buds prove it, that organically grown foods, and especially high mineral density foods, which is a whole topic I'm not even going to discuss today, because that's even taking your diet to the next level, and most even organic growers are not growing mineral dense foods, taste much better. The big problem I have with organics versus conventional is that with conventional, it's like they could use anything. At least with organics, they can't use these really toxic things, but just because it's organic doesn't mean it's going to be nutrient dense, because there's no standards to say, oh, as an organic farmer, you have to put this much compost, which adds a fertility back to your soil. You have to use, things like beneficial microbes like fungi and bacteria and protozoas in your soil to basically those things break down some of the things in the soil to make it more bioavailable for the plant so that they could bring it in. Or you don't have to use things like rock dust, which adds the trace minerals to the soil because our topsoils are devoid of minerals these days. There's none of those rules. So at least with organic, that's probably the best you could do unless you grow it yourself, and that's why I'm a big advocate of growing your own food, because what I grow far exceeds organic stuff. Based on, my research and my taste buds and doing bricks testing. So we're going to add the tomato juice we just made into the blender because we're going to blend that up with our nuts. And I talked a little bit about it earlier. This is literally, I think on my chart was like 1 ounces of sesame seeds. And those are the seeds, and then we're just going to put this many, which is like a 1/4 ounce of Brazil nuts in there. Now, instead of eating the nuts whole, like many people do, and you could definitely go out of control just by scooping nuts into your mouth and eating them, I have a really good video. I went to my brother's house here in Vegas, and he has an almond tree in his backyard, and I harvested almonds out of his tree and filled up half a shopping bag. And then I actually took the almonds, because it comes in a little husk, got to take off the husk and then crack the nut, and then it filled up one of these jars about that much. And it took me about, a half hour or an hour to harvest them, and then even longer to shell them and get them in there. But with the advent of bulk bins, you could open the bulk bin, and before you know it, you've got a whole bag full. And you didn't have to go through the process. So in nature, we wouldn't really be eating that many nuts and seeds, because we'd have to expend a lot of energy to get those nuts and seeds. So that's why, I like to focus on eating things that in nature we could pick as many zucchinis as we want, as many apples we want, as many leaves we want, but we wouldn't eat that many nuts and seeds. And many raw food diets, especially recipe books, they have like nut-based pâtés, and that's really high in fat, and in my opinion, not super optimal. So, and then the other thing I'm doing is I'm going to blend the nuts and seeds, because when you blend it up with a high-power blender, it's going to fractionate it and create more surface area so that you'll get better digestion. So I'm going to put this on high. Let's see. All right, so that's our soup base there. Nice creamy soup base is the tomatoes and a little bit of nuts. Sometimes, and seeds, sometimes instead of using the nuts, I'll just use avocados, especially if you want to lower your cost. The nuts kind of get more expensive, but avocados are much less expensive. So actually I made a really good soup the other night with tomatoes and avocado as a base and some similar things that I'm going to show you guys now. See, the next thing I got to do is one of the things I really like to add to a lot of my recipes are the seaweeds. Especially if you're not getting mineral dense food like we were talking about, because even farmers and organic growers are not growing it. At least the seaweeds, because they're grown in the ocean, has the minerals, and more importantly the trace minerals in there, because all the minerals existed on land in forms of rocks. They broke down and got washed out into the oceans, and that's why the oceans have all the trace minerals now. And then so these are like, grown in the ocean, have a lot of trace minerals in there. So this was available at the SF supermarket. We're just going to go ahead and take this and We're just pouring it in any old container because what I like to do is actually I like to soak these guys first. You know, I have used these before just like this, but then they're pretty hard and crunchy, so I like to soak them first to let them expand. And just this amount of seaweed here that's lying on the bottom, you're going to be amazed at how much it actually turns into here in just a few minutes while we're working on the next project here.
What about soaking the nuts? I've heard a lot about soaking nuts.
Sure. So yes, the question is about soaking nuts. And so the reason why they say you should soak your nuts is for the enzyme inhibitors. And the enzyme inhibitors are actually anti-nutrients, and they're not necessarily good for us. So they say soak your nuts to start the sprouting process, which will then break down the enzyme inhibitors. So I think that generally is a good idea, especially for some people that have maybe digestive systems that are particularly sensitive. I mean, I guess you could have done this in the morning when you put it out and you soaked it, at least for the day, to do that. I tend not to do that because I never know what I'm going to eat at night. I don't like plan out my recipe like, oh, I'm going to have this soup for dinner. Let's soak my nuts now. Like, it's dinner. I'm working all day. It comes dinner time. Crap, what the hell do I eat? Okay, let's see what I got. And then I go through my fridge and see what I got, and I'll just throw something together like I'm throwing together now. I mean, the best way to do it would be to soak your nuts and then dehydrate them so then they're always dry and then they're ready to use. The other thing, if you soak your nuts, like if we put soaked nuts into this recipe that were, you know, soaked and then drained out or strained out, it would add more water content to this and it would dilute it down, so it wouldn't have quite of a good flavor for me personally. So it just depends on you. I mean, if you're eating a lot of nuts, like many of the raw food books out there, I'd probably advocate you should soak your nuts because you're eating a lot. But when you're eating, you know, literally 1 1/4 ounces, I don't think it's quite as important. So the next thing we're going to do is going to be fun. We're going to show you guys how to remove the seeds out of the pomegranate, because many people have a challenge with that and it's really not that hard. So what we're going to do is we're going to need a couple things for this. We're going to need the pomegranate, a knife, and a little mini baseball bat. Actually, this is a pusher out of a juicer, and they also sell these at Asian markets for doing something, I'm not exactly sure. Or something, or an old broom handle stick that you cut down, or something like this. You could use a tamper for a Vitamix. Yeah, anyways. So what we're going to do is we're just going to cut this little flower end off of the pomegranate there. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to take our knife and just very carefully, like, go in literally like a centimeter and just like score this all the way up. So that's like where it was on the tree, and this is the flower end, and we're just scoring it. And I like to go around, I think I was counted this morning when I was doing it. Sometimes I went 6, sometimes I went 7 times. You could do as few as 4. You don't want to do too many of them. But I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So good enough. So now we got that scored. Then we're just going to go ahead and cut this in half. And there's our beautiful pomegranate. Pomegranates are only in season this time of year. So you guys are lucky they grow here locally. Then what we're going to do is we're going to take this, and I like to hold it in my hand just like this. And then we're just going to tap it. And put it down in your bowl and just tap it pretty vigorously. And what's happening, if my hand wasn't here, they'd all drop out. But basically when we're beating this, it's just going to beat all the areas out of it. So you can see here, that's pretty clean. I mean, yeah, there's a few left in there, and I'll pick those out or beat it a little bit more. This is just the way I do it that I found that works the best. They do have a special like kitchen tool basically to do the same thing, but instead of using your hand and getting your hand all, you know, mucky, they have a thing that this plastic thing, you put it on and then you just basically do the same thing on. But why buy extra stuff if you don't have to?
Does it hurt to eat the seed?
No, yeah, you know, you could eat the seed and everything, yeah.
Okay.
We were going to eat the seed tonight, actually. So, yeah. So yeah, this morning I juiced it, but tonight what we're going to do is I'm making a soup. So in the soup, actually the pomegranate seeds are going to be a nice texture element to the soup. So you could use, you know, a little bit of lemon zest or some cut up lemons, or, you know, you could use cut up tomatoes, or I could even use a tomato pulp. But the pomegranate seeds will add a nice texture and a little explosive, you know, areas in your mouth. And plus it'll add a unique kind of tart sweet flavor too to the soup. So So that's that. Let's see, we're going to take our major soup bowl here. So now we can empty out this guy. So this is the tomato juice with the Brazil nuts and sesame seeds blended up into that. You can start adding in some of the ingredients. We're going to add all these palm seeds in there. Now we're going to add some of the other things. So we used a little bit of this sauerkraut. Now I like to add the sauerkraut specifically for the beneficial probiotics, and this is just the lactobacillus. They sell probiotics here in many different strains, and one of the things I regularly take is actually probiotics for my health. It has to do with helping your digestive system work optimally, and then also in my research with immunity. So we're just going to go ahead and put a scoop in here. Also, this gives us a little bit of added sodium, because if you do eat a diet rich in just fruits and vegetables, unless you're eating a lot of celery, you may not be getting enough sodium. Now, I don't recommend and advocate things like taking, Celtic sea salts and things like that, because that could way add too much sodium. I recommend getting your sodium from foods. So at least in this way, they add some small amounts of sodium in here, some sea salt, so that we're going to get it. And if you look on our chart, my US, the nutrient analysis, we're literally getting, I think it's about 100% of our sodium intake, and that's mainly because of the sauerkraut here, actually, because all the other stuff is actually low in sodium. If I didn't want to use the sauerkraut, some of the other things I would use instead are maybe some chickpea miso. I like to use chickpea miso. That also has some sea salt in it. If you want to get away from all things that had salt, I'd ramp up the celery. So I might juice celery and put that in with the tomatoes, but then we'd have to add actually a significant portion of celery to get our sodium. Or I'd add more sea vegetables for the sodium and other trace minerals. What we're going to add next are just some herbs from my garden. So the things from my garden that I was going to use that were free to the recipe were the kale in the juice, or the tree collards in the juice that I forgot to bring. It's sitting on my counter, so I get to juice it later tonight or tomorrow. And the herbs. So these are the two easiest things that grow in Las Vegas. If you try to grow tomatoes, especially in the summertime, you're probably not going to be too happy, because there's special techniques you have to use. With many herbs, especially basil in the summertime, it's really hard to mess that up. Basil grows really well here. Get a plant started out, just give it enough water every day, and it's going to grow like mad. You'll have so much basil, you will not know what to do with it. Another thing that grows really well are the chives did really well for me. The parsley has done well for me. I have actually some sage in here. The sage is huge. It's growing crazy, and just other small herbs like thyme and rosemary also do well here in Vegas. And then the other thing I was going to use was the tree collards, the perennial tree collards. Those things grow crazy all year long, in summer or winter, and they provide you a plethora of greens every day of the year. In the summertime, they're particularly hot and a little bit more spicy or bitter. And then in the wintertime, right about now, they really start sweetening up. And these are called perennial tree collards, and literally some of the plants that I'm growing, these tree collards, they're 6 feet tall. They have a big stalk, and they look like a tree, and they just keep making leaves every day of the year. Standard collard greens that you might find starts at Home Depot are just like Georgia collards or hybrid collards. Those things actually grow for a specific amount of time, then they actually go to flower and seed, set seed, and then they're pretty much done with their life cycle. The perennial tree collards are different because literally you plant them once, and they basically will grow for 7 years. Or maybe even longer, I'm not exactly sure. They say 7 years. And it just keeps producing leaves every day of the year for you, and it doesn't, or rarely goes to flower, and if it does, and seed, and if it does, it just will keep producing. Like some of the plants here, due to the climatic conditions in the summertime, they actually went to seed, produced seeds, and I let them mature, and then after they were done, then they just continued producing more leaves, like it never flowered at all, unlike many regular collard green plants. So what we're doing is we're just dicing these guys up really fine here, and we're just going to add all these herbs. Now herbs are another really nutrient-dense food to include in your diet, and this is how I like to add them. Just a little bit of herbs, like fresh herbs. Obviously fresh, this is definitely better than dried, and all these. Some of the herbs actually are some of the most expensive things to buy. It's like 3/4 of an ounce for $2.50. at Whole Foods for organic herbs. But when you, I mean, literally, even if you just have a windowsill or, you know, a patio, you could have a little pot of herbs. You know, grow some of the easiest ones. The sage. You'll never have to buy sage again. Or mint. Now, the one thing I forgot to juice actually was the hot pepper. So we're going to go ahead and just basically add that in really quick to the mixture. So one of the things I really like to use is herbs and spices, such as the hot pepper here, to make things taste good without adding extra salt. A lot of raw food recipes and even restaurants will just add more salt to make it taste good when the flavor should be coming from the foods. But you know, a lot of people don't use fresh herbs anymore, unfortunately. Alright, so hopefully that's enough pepper juice. Now that's going to really ramp the flavor up a lot. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and strain these guys out here. So remember when I added this, it literally was just the bottom of the container, and look, it's just totally filled up, and if I would have put more water in there, it probably would have expanded more. But this is a lot of seaweed, and this, once again, it gives us some nice texture in our soup. How many people here were actually came to my soup class last month? I know there's a couple people here. But I like these a lot because, you know, a lot of seaweeds, they taste fishy. And, you know, I don't like things that taste fishy. But this seaweed actually doesn't taste fishy. Another one of my favorite seaweeds that doesn't taste fishy is the dulse. And also the nori. So last night I just used the nori sheets and I just ripped those up and then put them into the soup that I made last night. And we're just going to basically press out some of the excess water. Now the water that you're getting out there, I guess you could drink it. It'd probably be really good to be pouring on your plants because also this is you're leaching out some of the minerals in here. In the soak water. It's pretty good. Now I'll just dump that in there too. I think we're about, oh, we got a couple more ingredients for our soup there. So the next ingredient we're going to add to our soup is the avocado here. So we're just going to basically dice up this avocado. That adds yet another texture and a little bit more fat. And I want to talk about avocados for a second. This avocado is actually from Mexico. They're also imported from like Chile. And I highly encourage you guys actually whenever possible to buy the California avocados. Number one, they've had to travel, you know, less far, so that's less, you know, resources and less fuel. The other thing that I've noticed is that they're a lot better tasting. You know, I don't know exactly what it is with these ones from Mexico or Chile, but they just don't have the richness and the creaminess that the California avocados do, even if they are organic. So in general, I tend to buy the California ones whenever possible. Alright, that's pretty much our soup except for one last ingredient. And so I wanted to use some zucchini, and a lot of people like noodles in their soup, and I have different cutters and spiral slicers. They sell actually some spiral slicers here now that'll allow you to take this zucchini and basically make long pasta-like shreds and strands out of them. Actually, they have the lowest price that I've seen anywhere on that tool here, actually. So I like making different textures out of different foods. And so instead of buying like regular pasta that you got to cook, you could just use zucchinis, which are, in my opinion, a lot healthier than just eating, you know, pasta. So what we're going to do, instead of making the large noodles, we're just going to make small little shreds with this little tool I have here. So, I mean, as fast as you could go back and forth, it's going to make these little small little matchstick-like things that are going to be another nice texture to our soup. Sometimes I like to use the spiral slicers, but it takes longer, and this is just so much quicker and easy. Next time I give a talk here, I'll try to bring some of these guys with me to sell. I'm out of stock of them right now. Alright, that's it. So I mean, just in an instant now, we've gone through one whole zucchini. You could easily put, you know, another one in there if you wanted. And that's pretty much our soup. We're just going to go ahead and stir this guy up now. So this is a soup, and I've really been on a soup kick lately because, you know, if you're eating a soup, you could really pack in a lot more nutrition than you can in a salad like you know, if I was making a salad, I don't know that I'd necessarily put 2 pounds of tomatoes in my salad unless I was having like the tomato salad, and it was mostly tomatoes. But this way we pretty much got all the nutrients out of tomatoes, less the fiber and the seeds and the skin actually is not digestible on a tomato anyways. A lot of the salads that I do make also is actually just have like greens, and then I'll just dump a lot of dressing on it, which would be something similar to this, like the tomato juice with some nuts, and then maybe I'd add the sauerkraut in there, and then just pour that over my salad. I don't recommend actually using things like olive oil and vinegar as a salad dressing. It's actually, I rarely, if ever, even use olive oil and vinegar. Olive oil, number one, it's a processed food. It's extracted fat from the olive. I'd rather you guys eat actually the olives, and olive trees grow here, and actually I found some sun-dried the other day that I could have foraged. But olives are a great food because they contain the oil, the fiber, and all the other phytochemicals and phytonutrients in the olive itself. Also, the olive oil will really ramp up your fat calories like crazy. Just 1 tablespoon of olive oil is 120 calories. So, a lot. So I guess what we'll do here is if somebody could scoop out for everybody. I guess for dessert, I was going to bring another thing that I harvested, but I forgot to grab it before I left my house, was just some dates. You know, the dates I harvested were dates that I harvested out of a tree, so they were free. And that's an excellent way to, you know, save money on your food, is by harvesting your own foods. Let's see, I think that's pretty much it. I mean, those are the 3 recipes. You saw the breakdown, you saw the price, you saw where I got everything from. Once again, I want to remind you guys, you know, don't eat this same combination every day. Mix it up, find the local and cheapest deals, locally sourced food whenever possible. Go to the farmers markets, the farms, and then buy things on sale and get more, you know, foods in you, whether you got to eat them whole, juiced, or blended. So I don't write down many of my recipes, because every recipe I just make spontaneously based on whatever's in my fridge. And, you know, whether I have carrots, I'll usually make a carrot juice and then use that juice as a base for a salad dressing or for a soup. But about 5 years ago, I did write down a lot of recipes, and I did put it in this book. And this book basically has, you know, no oils in it, and way that I ate 5 years ago, which is pretty similar to now. I've modified it a little bit. But this book has 30 of my delicious recipes, similar to the ones that you've tasted tonight. And I'm offering these for just $5 if anybody's interested. So come up at the end and see me. I'll be glad to take any questions for a little bit. I need to clean up and then get out of here.
Okay. You didn't mention sprouted wheat or wheatgrass juice.
Sure.
Did you?
I did not actually. So I don't do, I generally, for me personally, I don't do a diet that contains much, if any, gluten. You know, a lot of standard American people eat a diet based on wheat, and I think that, you know, I try to like look at nature for answers, and if we were out in nature, like, it'd be a pain in the butt to like pick that much wheat to like eat and to sprout and to make. That being said, I mean, I think, you know, it's a better food than some things, but I think we're not naturally designed to digest the grains. I mean, if they're sprouted, that's definitely better. And if they're sprouted, that's better, but if they're, you know, grown in a wheatgrass and then juiced, that'd be the best. So I do drink wheatgrass sometimes. You know, and if I didn't have a full-on garden where I grew kale and other greens to juice, I would probably be juicing wheatgrass if that was my only green I could grow, because you can't grow that indoors. But I think there's far better foods that are available that are more sustainable and easier to break down. You know, unless you're juicing the wheatgrass, even in a blender, it'll get wrapped around the blades in the blender, or at least if you're just chewing it really well and spitting out the pulp.
Yeah, there's a certain grinder that you would grind the grass from. That was real popular, I want to say 30 years ago.
Yeah, no, I sell wheatgrass juicers that look like a meat grinder so that you can't get the juice out. I mean, this juicer will juice wheatgrass.
Oh, it will?
So, you know, some juicers will juice wheatgrass. And I think, you know, I mean, people want to find these, what I call magic bullets. You know, whether it's the wheatgrass is, you know, 1 ounce of wheatgrass is 8 pounds of vegetables or something like this. And, you know, to me, there's like no magic bullets. It's just about eating a fresh fruit and vegetable diet, and, you know, have wheatgrass sometimes and have kale and collard greens and have all the different foods, because each different food is its own powerhouse of nutrition. How do you guys like the soup there?
Very good. Love it.
Excellent. Yeah, so I mean, as you saw, I mean, you could do all this, eat these delicious foods for $14 and what, 22 cents a day. And once again, rotate. Don't just make this list every day.
I like the pomegranate.
Yeah, the
I
pomegranate.
would have never added that.
Don't the pomegranates add a nice, like, just burst of flavor in your mouth, and it's a different texture that you're just not expecting.
And the I like it all.
And the seaweed is just pretty mild. It doesn't, like, taste fishy or anything. It just has a nice chewiness texture, because a lot of people in raw foods think, oh, you either got, like, I don't know, like some leafy greens or something hard and not something kind of spongy like that. Kind of like noodles. They remind me of chow fun noodles, because I used to like those when I was a kid. This is like the closest thing to natural chow fun noodles.
That's
Actually,
great.
here at the store, another thing I wanted to mention, here at the store here, they actually have a little raw food section. And one of the things I like at their raw food section is actually they have all these different seaweed powders. So these are excellent things to add to get the trace minerals, and they have like 4 or 5 different varieties, and each tastes totally different. So that'd be a good thing to add, you know, into a soup to give it some flavor. And also get your trace minerals, because I think, you know, trace minerals are where it's at, and they're really important, and they're really not valued as much that they should be, in my opinion. And a lot of people, in my opinion, are really trace mineral deficient, and that's going to be something coming out in the years to come, in my opinion. You know, more research and more people are going to be made aware of this.
What type of seaweed is this?
That one's actually called wakame.
Oh, wakame.
So this is from the SS supermarket, or other Asian markets may sell this. It's like $2.50 for a little package, or $2, depends where you get it. But yeah, that's one of my favorites for the noodles. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode learning how you can eat a raw diet and meet all your nutrient requirements for under $14 a day. You know, I know some of you guys, if you made it to the end, might be thinking, John, it's still too expensive. Well, I can't help you with that. You need to get a better job that pays more money so that you can afford $14 a day to eat some of the best foods on the planet, so you could live the healthiest life, because you are what you eat. And if you're putting junk in, you're going to get junk out. If you put good stuff in, you're going to get great stuff out. So $14 is not a lot to pay, in my opinion. I really hope you guys enjoyed this episode and learned, you know, what you can do on an example day. And once again, the example day is just that. It's only an example. Don't eat that day in and day out. Every day you want to eat a different plethora of fruits and vegetables, nuts and seeds, to meet your nutrient requirements and be as healthy as you can. With the tips that I've shared in this video, now you can do it, and I'm so glad that I could help you guys out. Once again, my name is John Kohler with OKRaw.com. We'll see you next time, and remember, keep eating your fresh fruits and vegetables. They're the best.